Hey, what up, and welcome back to another episode of the Gem Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Grazhel Moreno, aka Coach G, and today I want to talk about a feeling, a thought, an emotion that comes up as a natural occurrence, by the way, during your fitness journey, and that is how much longer do I have to keep doing this before I start seeing results? And truly, what you're actually asking isn't like a breakdown of a timeline because I can give that to you. And at the end of the day, it won't make a damn difference because what person A is going to accomplish within the first month or the second or the third or the sixth or the 12th, whatever, is so different from person B, C, E, and all the alphabets. Okay. Like it's just not going to have the same. Like there might be similarities, but what I can tell you as far as like, what you can expect when you start is within the first couple of weeks. This is called the honeymoon phase. Okay, you're excited as hell, you're overly motivated, you're doing all the things, you're building the structure, you're rebuilding the habits, whatever have you. Come month 1, month 2, you might start to feel it before you see the progress, like there's no visible progress yet, but you're noticing that you're not as bloated, you're noticing that you have a lot more energy, you have more stamina throughout the day, you're in a better mood, you're not snappy towards your kids or your husband or people at work, like you just have a much better, mindset as well. And like you might start to see a lot of the invisible progress, so to speak, or the measurements within, like month 3, month 4, whatever. Now, that is a very loose timeline, and that is not something that you need to measure yourself up to. I think it actually does you a disservice to sit here and think about what is the general timeline like and make it so, because what happens is that when you don't hit the marks, you're all of a sudden thinking like, well, fuck, I'm off track. Another reason why I feel like it does you a disservice to worry about what the timeline is going to look like before I start seeing the results is it'll cause you to get in the way of your own self. Okay, you will sabotage in the process because what you think is happening isn't actually happening because you're measuring yourself against a timeline that isn't for you, isn't actually yours. Like you hear this all the time. We are on our own journey. We are on our own little lanes, doing our own thing. And as cliche as it sounds, like, you're on your own path. You're on your own journey. Your timeline is different from everybody else's. So to sit here and be like, this is the general thing. Like, this is what I can expect. Yeah, cool, but how does that actually help you? Because you don't necessarily care what happens at what increments. You only care about getting the results. That's it. Like, can we stop pretending that we care about all the little details? Like, let's just be real with the fact that you just want the results. That is it. Okay. So, in knowing that, let me get into what I really want to talk about today that I think is going to blow your mind apart once we unpack it. Because when I hear, this, oh, how much longer do I have to keep doing this before I start seeing results? Or, I've been at this for weeks, for months, and I feel like, shouldn't something be happening by now? Or like, but how much longer do I have to be at this? Like, I'm just getting tired of waiting for the results. Here's the thing, okay? Before we even get into it, you're not waiting for results. The results are waiting on you. I'm waiting on your consistency. I'm waiting on your commitment. Let's start there. Okay? The results will show once you do your part. Once you do your part. So, again, let's set that aside for a minute. Let's just get into it. Like I said earlier, this thought, this feeling that you're, if you're somehow staying up at night thinking, like, bruh, I gotta wake up tomorrow and do this shit again. Like, but like, how much longer do I have to keep doing this? How much longer do I have to put in the work? How much longer do I have to struggle? And you know what you're really asking isn't necessarily a timeline thing. You don't really care about like how much longer. You really are asking few things, okay? Because what's underneath all that question is a fear and uncertainty and also a need for reassurance. So let me just break it down for you, okay? I got my little notes up here. That question, when you start to feel yourself, when you hear that in your head, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, like, where is this coming from? What's really going on? What's underneath all of this? Like, why am I feeling this way? Right? Because what could happen, and you might find yourself feeling one or a few, or, for the most people, it's usually a blend of all these things that I'm about to bring up. And when you clock it for yourself or you hear it and you're like, oh, that's what it is for me, I want you to just sit with it. You ain't gotta do nothing else. Like now that you have the awareness, when you know that okay, that's what it is for me underneath all of that. Like I don't actually care about the timeline. I know I'm gonna get the results, but like what I'm asking for is this. If that's what you resonate with, put a pin on it and be like, okay, that's what it is for me. Okay. You ain't even gotta do nothing else other than that. Just it. Okay. What I find is a lot of people will have a blend of these things. I have six points here to go over with you as far as like what's underneath that. And so you could have a blend of these things, and these things might also shift at different stages of your life. And this is going to make sense in a little bit once I break it down. So I mean, I've been at this for a while, right? I've been at this for months, and like, when the hell am I going to start seeing progress? I'm just getting tired of waiting. I'm like, when do I start to see the results? So, one of the things is fear, and that's fear of wasted effort. Okay. It's almost like, bro, you just want to make sure that the things that you're currently doing are actually amounting to something, or it's actually going to get you closer to the goals, like closer to achieving the results that you want, right? That's one. The second one is this need for reassurance, like validation that, again, what you're doing is actually going to generate the results that you want. Now, caveat to that, right? For my clients, a lot of times what I have to just do is reassure them that they are doing the things, okay? That they're actively doing the things. Now, in my program already is structured in a way where it's always going to make sure that we are measuring progress, not just on a monthly basis, but a weekly basis too. Now, besides all of that, on our coaching calls, a lot of times when these doubts and these fears creep in, lucky for my clients, okay, they have a coach, aka me. And you know what I be doing? Put them bitches to check. Not that they're bitches, okay? I just feel like it has so much amplification when I say put them bitches to check. But no, like I keep my clients in check. Okay. That is part of my job because these are the natural things that tends to happen in a journey when we start to almost like self-sabotage, or the fears and the doubts are so freaking loud that we lose sight. We start to like get in the way of our own selves. And that's normal. And so, however, if you are someone who doesn't have a coach in your corner, you don't have the support system to keep you in check, or you're actually not sure if the plan is the right plan for you, that's a different conversation. However, if you do want clarity on that or just have questions or whatever have you, you can always just reach out to me on Instagram, just send me a DM, or better yet, if you want to do a little deep dive, a little discovery call, the link is in the show notes somewhere. Book yourself in. Let's just start there, whatever you want. Okay. Anyways, besides that, so we have the fear of wasted effort, right? The need for reassurance. We also have comparison. This ties into the timeline, right? Like if someone is getting results faster than you automatically start to make it mean something about you, how maybe you're now not going to get it, or it's too slow for you, or you're not seeing any results. Like you're getting wrapped up in comparison, and instead of it fueling and adding fuel to your fire, it's actually killing it. So that's a topic in and of itself. Now, my writing here is such chicken scratch, and I can't make sense of what the third point is, and the fourth point, I mean. Oh, honeymoon phase is over. That's what I wrote. I must have been a doctor in my past life because my writing is chicken shit. Okay, especially when my thoughts are going faster than my own hands can keep up with. Like, look at it. What is that? Anyways, if you're on Apple Pod, you're not going to see that. But when the honeymoon phase is over, all of a sudden, all the excitement we had about doing the work and like trusting the process, all that goes out the window. Now you don't feel like doing it. Naturally, your bias will start to look for all the reasons for like, I don't feel like doing it. I'm no longer motivated. I'm not excited. What's even the point? And you start to spiral down this freaking rabbit hole of like, how much longer I have to do this? When am I going to start seeing results? I'm not seeing anything. And it's just like, even though there are actually results, you're not even celebrating it, or you're not even counting them, because for some reason you're only convinced that, anyways, topic for another day, I guess. But yeah, like one of the other underlying thing is that this feeling when the excitement is gone and the motivation is gone and the honeymoon phase is over, all of a sudden we start to associate like, well, I'm bored now. This is no longer fun. And so it might come up like that in a way where it's like what the hell's going on? Like, how much longer? I'm getting tired of waiting. When actually this moment, this boredom period is the testing ground. Okay. This is where people tend to quit before it gets good. You guys remember that one? It's like an image where the person's like digging, and like they gave up just right before the little gem or the jewel was in there, like the treasure or whatever. They've been digging and digging and digging. They've been at it for so long, and you know what? They were just like boom. They gave up, and they were like just a few inch before they were gonna see the treasure. And so it's kind of like that. Obviously, for me, what that means is that all I need you to do is to keep it going and be resilient and understand that these feelings and emotions are going to come up for you, and that's totally normal. But if it's coming from like because you're lacking motivation and all of a sudden you have this like all the negativity, all the inner critic is coming out because you're no longer excited, motivated, or highly energized by what you're doing, now you're stuck in, like, now you're in the mundane of doing the things and just committing to it and being disciplined. If that is you, then just something to note, okay? The other part as well is past bad experiences coming up, or trauma, if you want to call it little t trauma, where you've done a lot of extreme things before, like boot camps, 30-day resets, or whatever have you, like extreme programs where it either didn't get you the results that you wanted, or it did give you the results, but it was not sustainable. Like it disappeared as quick as it came to you. Like you got the results so fast, you also lost it just as fast. A lot of my clients have shared with me in the past how when they do those like boot camps or those 30 days extreme, like, workout plans and dieting, it's almost like as soon as they got the results, the moment they stop, the results stop, like it almost reversed. And then not to mention, almost they left them a lot worse than before. Like, so for example, just to give you some numbers here to help you with, let's say this person started with like 180 pounds. They lost 20 pounds. They're not at 160. They maintain 160 for a week or two, three, whatever. And then all of a sudden they gain more weight and are at the heaviest they ever been. So like, let's say if they were at 180, now they're hitting and kissing at the floor of 200. So it's almost like, what the freak? And so this is a crazy ass cycle that, one, I will never wish on you. So let's cut that. But so these past experiences, right? In this specific example, this person got result. However, it wasn't sustainable. And then there are people who did all the work and didn't get anything. And so there was no progress at all. So it was a failure. They were like, yet another freaking thing I failed at. And oftentimes people don't talk about it because it's shameful to talk about how you failed. Don't nobody want to talk about their failures, girl. They just want to talk about their conquests, their wins, their success. And guess what? This podcast is not gonna be. We're gonna have to have a conversation because it's normal. It's normal to fail. Like that's part of human experience. But I do want you to make a note to yourself if you're someone who is associating slow progress with failing, because that's the thing. To sit here and think about like, well, how much longer do I have to do this before I start seeing results? Are you not seeing results at all? Or is that what you're telling me? Or is the results just slower than you want it to be? And if it is slow and you're associating with failure, like you need to check yourself. Because what the heck? Slow progress is still progress, and that is something I always remind my clients. And once they graduate from the program, they're like, damn, coach, you was right, you was right. I'm like, well, I tried to tell you. Thank you for believing in it. Thank you for trusting the process. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for trusting in me, because girl, that is the one thing that always gets people. It's like, just because the progress is slow doesn't mean it's not happening. Now let's go back to the whole like, when am I gonna start seeing results, right? And if your results are slow and you want it to be faster, you gotta be prepared to do the work to have the results faster. What people get up on is that they want and expect fast results, but they're not actually willing to do the work to get the results faster. There are trade-offs. And if you're not willing to make the trade-offs, stop. Stop measuring yourself against this. I want faster results and I'm not there yet. I'm not seeing fast results. Okay, but what, show me. Like, what are you actually doing to get fast results? Because if you're doing half-ass effort, guess what? Half-ass results. Like, what? It needs to match. Okay, like, let's stop. One thing about it though, I think too many people are acting too entitled, and I'm not having it. Okay, until you can come into terms with that, don't come over here. So okay, okay, the sassiness is coming out. But no, that's just the real thing though. It's frustrating as hell. Like everybody wants fast ass results. Don't nobody want to slow it down. But then look, what are you willing to do for it. Oh, you're not willing to do it like that? You're not willing? Okay, then I guess we're going to go at the pace that you're willing to go. So the rate of your progress, the rate of your results is going to be contingent on your consistency and your compliance and your commitment and your discipline. That's it. Let's stop complicating this bullshit. Like, I think a lot of people are so quick to be like, I'm not seeing fast results. So it must be this, it must be that, it must be that. Like, when was the last time you looked at your own behaviors with an objective eye, not subjective, but objective of like, what are you actually doing to generate those results? And again, no judgment, just a come to Jesus moment of like, don't be out here acting entitled. Okay. I won't have it. I won't have it. If you want fast results, be prepared to do what you need to do to get fast results. And again, if you're not, if you realize you're listening to this, you're like, oh God, that is me, bitch. I'm like, funny, funny. Either way, though, if that is you and that resonates with you, you're like, oh crap, like I'd be doing that. Like I do want the fast results, but I'm just like, I don't want to do too much. And that's okay. And that is why I always harp on like slow progress is still progress. Steady progress is still progress. One day you'll look back and be like, damn, I'm so glad I stuck it out. I'm so glad I trusted in myself. I'm so glad I trusted in the process because I was going to give up too damn soon. Like, trust me, you're going to look back and be like, thank God I stuck it out. Thank God. Because I wouldn't be here if I just caved. All right, back to the last point. The last part, okay, as far as the what's underneath that question of like this wondering, oh, like how much longer? Because I'm getting tired of waiting for results. Like I've been at this for so long. Like shouldn't something be happening by now? Like how much longer do I have to do this before I start seeing results? The last one is emotional fatigue. This is not someone who's being impatient. What I just described a few seconds ago, that's someone who's being unrealistic about their expectation, but also being impatient, right? This emotional fatigue is not one of them. This is when you're putting all the work, you're trying your absolute freaking best, and nothing, it feels like nothing is there. You're just burnt the hell out. And if that's where you're at, you also just have to recognize that there might be a lot of stuff going on for you right now. Like you might be feeling overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, it is normal to feel like this is an uphill battle. So you might be craving to just see a semblance of a win, a semblance of progress so that you can keep it going. But the last thing you need to do is to invalidate how you're feeling if you are overwhelmed, if you're emotionally fatigued, because guess what? If that is how you're feeling, that's how you're feeling, that's where you're at right now, cool. Like don't try to suppress that, okay? For all my little girlies who suppress emotions, this is not going to be, please don't do it no more. And I know it's easier said than done, and I bring levity to it by talking about it in this kind of way, but just recognize that if you are emotionally fatigued and that is causing you to have more doubts, or when the fears are louder or the inner critic is louder and you start to, self-sabotage or start to whatever, act out of alignment, if that's where you are, just notice it for what it is and unpack it as you need to. Okay. Now, I just want to briefly go over kind of like a rundown of what I just covered. Okay. So, underneath that question, the question that I've been saying over and over again, I'm sure you're tired of hearing it already. Like I said, you're not necessarily worried about the timeline. Like, all you care about is getting the results. But in the process of you working towards the achieving the results or trying to reach the progress or make progress, so to speak, what happens is you start to have these like fears and doubts and uncertainty that comes up. The inner critic is loud as hell talking shit. And oftentimes it's one of the six or a few of them or a blend of the six. Okay. One is the fear of wasted effort. Okay. Another one is the honeymoon phase is over. Things are boring and mundane at this point. The other one is the need for reassurance and validation that the things that you're doing is actually amounting to something, is actually going to help you get to your goals. Okay. Fourth one is when you had past bad experiences, you might associate slow progress with you failing again. And that might not be what's going on right now, but your brain automatically goes there and it just continues to spiral going down that way. The fifth is the comparison. So thinking about how you're doing and how quick you're getting the results or how well you're doing in your fitness journey in comparison to everybody else when you don't even know what the hell's going on with those people and what they did to get the results and what they had to sacrifice to get the results. if you're not willing to sacrifice the same way they sacrifice, and they're not even in the same spot as you, they have a different baseline, they have a different starting point, different lifestyle, it just does you no good to compare yourself, especially when it robs you of your peace and it starts to get in the way of your own success. Because a lot of times comparison can be fuel to your fire and can ignite you. But if you start to notice that it's actually sabotaging you, at this point, we gotta shut it down. We cannot be out here comparing. It is not helping you, it's hurting you. That's something to recognize. Okay. The last one is just emotional fatigue. This is when it's not, this question comes up when you're not necessarily impatient, but more than anything, overwhelmed with what everything is going on. So all of it is so much easier to start to think very negatively, for the inner critic to be so loud, and for all the doubts and the fears to be so amplified in this moment. Okay. Whatever is going on that's causing you emotional fatigue, it's contributing to this, this whole I am being impatient. I don't know if I can keep this going on. I can keep going on longer. It's just spiral, spiral, spiral. And guess what? If you're feeling one or a blend of all of this, just know that it's okay. But I need you to figure out which one it is for you, and just pause and just acknowledge it and name it for what it is. Like, hey, I'm feeling a sense of like, like just I'm tired of waiting. I'm like, I want to see the results, but really what I'm actually just want is I just need reassurance that I'm on the right path. Or you know what? I'm just scared to fail again. Like I've failed so many times. Like I'm just worried that I'm gonna fail again. And I don't want to be disappointed. So like, like I think recognizing what it is for you can be so helpful. And it's also okay, like as you're listening to this podcast, if the answer is not so clear, like you don't know what it is for you, what I would invite you to is create the space and time to go in and unpack that for yourself. Like no one has the answers for this, just you. But a lot of times, for many of you listening to this, if this is your first time doing this level of like deep work when it comes to your health and fitness, for example, you might need a little bit of time, and that's totally okay. I'm happy to go back and forth with you about this. You can hit me up about it. We can do that. You can book the discovery call. We can jump on and just, you can spill all the shit, but whatever, the best thing you can do as you're listening to this podcast, start to pay attention. Like what's coming up for you when you're listening to this? What are you noticing? What resonates? What feels true for you? And for those of you who listens and kind of are like, I don't know, I need time to sit with that. I need to unpack that a little bit more. Then do what you need to do that, okay? But just promise to yourself and like actually put in your calendar and go create the time and space for it, because none of this is going to be helpful if you don't actually do anything about it. You know what I mean? I've said it over and over again. I don't want this podcast to be just another place where you collect a ton of information and do nothing with it. So do yourself a favor, okay? It'll make me happy. I hope it'll make you happy. So since we're on the topic of results, I wanted to bring up something that might be worth pondering on, and which is when you're wondering about your results, or you're frustrated about your results or lack thereof, I want to ask you, one, do you have a plan? A plan that is guaranteed to see, like to generate the results that you're looking for? Are you putting it to work? If so, for how long and how consistent are you at doing it? And I need you to answer this as honest and as truthful as you can be. I don't, a lot of people try to throw like, yeah, I am consistent, but like, sometimes okay, it's either you are or you're not. Okay. And I know that's sometimes can sound cutthroat, but that's the thing. It's like when you're frustrated with your results and you want something better and you want whatever, a lot of times the answer that you're looking for is in the thing that you're avoiding. So you got to take a look at what's going on and what you're actually doing and how your commitment level looks like and how your consistency is. And sometimes that might not be what you want to hear. Okay. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just trying to help you out. All right. Damn. You're frustrated. I'm trying to help you not be frustrated. But at the same time, like accountability and responsibility for your own contributions to the results. Like I said earlier, people are waiting on results when really results are waiting on you. Like the results will come. You just gotta put in the work. I mean, that's that. As we're wrapping up this episode, I just want to remind you that I need you to learn to trust in yourself and in the process. And if you have a coach, if you're one of my clients listening, hey, thank you for trusting in yourself and trusting the process, but also trusting in me to guide you in the process. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. I love you so much. The other thing I also want to note and remind you of that you have to measure your progress in more than just one way. The trap that I often see people do, and this might be a topic that I'll dive into a little bit more in the future. So let me know if this is something you're interested in. Let me know in the comments, slide in my DMs on Instagram. Let me know, okay? And I think that we often get tripped up and get conditioned to only celebrate the big milestones when it comes to working towards a goal or being on your health and fitness goal. But I want you to know, when you have multiple ways of measuring your progress, of celebrating your progress, more than just and beyond just the big milestones of getting to the weight that you want or getting to the size that you want in the clothes or whatever the heck it is, when you have multiple ways, this is the way that you're actually going to be able to have sustained progress throughout. Okay. This is going to help you get through those sticking points where it's like where nothing is happening and you're like, what the heck? Because even though when nothing is happening, quote unquote, you actually have all these things that you actually, the intangible things that are happening that if you just created the time and space for it, you actually will acknowledge it. Like, you know what? I said yes to something that I would have said no to before. Like, I'm really proud of myself for allowing myself to experience that. I wore an outfit that I never would have in forever. Like, the old version of me would have done that. I exercise my boundaries when normally I would have just let people walk all over me. Like, those are things that you cannot see in a scale, that you cannot see in a progress photo, that you cannot see in your body measurements. Like, you are not going to see that there, but you feel that, you know? So those are like I'm saying, like when it comes to having multiple ways of measuring your progress, I don't just mean metrics, but I think also the other types of wins that you have that shows you that you are changing as a person, that your habits are developing. Okay. Those are the things. So if that's a topic they wanted me to cover and the importance of celebrating your progress and having an attitude of gratitude, I'm happy to go over that. But just make sure and you have a way of measuring your progress more than just one way. And it cannot always be just major milestones. Like, that is really tough. And you're going to set yourself up for success when you only celebrate that, because you spend majority of the time of doing the work and putting in the work feeling like you're just chipping away and not really feeling any different. Like, you're just like constantly doing, but you're not getting that reward of like, hey, oh, I accomplished this, that, and the other. Oh, I'm celebrating this and this. Like, I've noticed that, like, it just small wins. Like, have a way to measure your progress through small wins and through celebrating your wins and being able to get in the habit of attitude of gratitude. Because what happens is when you actually only focus on big milestones, in the in between, you're riddled with a whole lot of wanting to give up and constantly have to push yourself because you got to keep it going to get to the thing. And this also might cause a lot of people to start and stop quite a bit. So anyways, again, measure yourself, but also make sure that you have multiple ways of measuring your progress. It cannot always be just milestones. It cannot always be just getting to the scale weight, just getting to the body fat, just getting to the size and the clothes. It cannot be just that. You have to have other ways of measuring your progress. And if that's a topic you want me to cover in the future, let me know. Okay. However, if you are tired though of guessing whether or not you're on the right track, or you've been at this for a minute and you know that you're putting in a lot of work and you're being as consistent as you can be, and you still feel like the effort you're putting in doesn't quite match with the results that you're getting, that's what I'm here for. With that, this is my invite for you. I need you to go into the show notes, click one of the links. Either you hit me up on IG or you go apply for the coaching, book a discovery, or whatever you need to do. Okay. Take the next step, because I'm here. I'm waiting for you when you're ready. When you decide that you're ready, I'm here for you. And I'm going to leave you with an analogy for this podcast. Okay. When you are working on yourself, when you're in this fitness journey, oftentimes, I look at it a lot like gardening. When you plant the seed, okay, you're supposed to plant the seed and leave it alone. Like that one girl on TikTok, love her, leave it alone. Like, that's it. Like, love her, leave her alone. You plant the seed. Your next job is to make sure you water it, you nourish it, you give it sunlight, you take care of it. Okay. It's going to be the same thing when it comes to your fitness journey. You don't go in, plant the seed and keep digging. Is it growing? Is it growing? Is it growing? No, it's not growing, because you're destroying it every day, checking in to see if it's making any progress. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. One of the things, though, the very, very last thing I'll leave you with on this episode for today is that I want you to know as I said earlier, this feeling, this emotion, these thoughts that come up for you, the doubts, the fears, and all of it, do not let it derail you, okay? Especially now that we just outlined six of the potential things that are underneath that question. Just pinpoint what that is for you. And it's okay if you're like, oh, let me, but okay, that's fine. We're humans, we're complex, all of that. But yeah, just don't let it derail you, okay? Because these emotions, these negative thoughts, these feelings, these fears, there's doubt, all of these can sabotage your progress if you allow it. So now that we've talked about it, just don't let it derail you, okay? If you have a coach on your corner, this is your coach's job to make sure to put you in check. If you don't have a coach, well, find one, okay? Find one, or find a support system that can help you truly. Like, you know what I'm saying? That will take good care of you. But that's all I have for now. I want you to share what your biggest takeaway is from this episode. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you found any value in any of the episodes you've listened to on this podcast, please feel free to leave a review in any of the, like, if you're listening to this on whatever platform, leave a review, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you so much. With that being said, kudos. See you on the next one. Bye.